In recent news, the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) rejected PZ Cussons Nigeria Plc's buyout of minority shareholders and delisting plans. Other companies such as Diagnostic and Clinical Services Limited and United Nigeria Textile Plc have voluntarily delisted from the Nigerian Exchange Limited since 2002. Why is that so? That is a big question that Muktar Mohammed, our guest on the show, is the CEO of Asheer Investment Limited, will be helping us to answer this morning. Mr. Muktar Mohammed, it's nice to have you around.
Thank you for having me, Lekon.
Now, beyond SEC rejection, what other factors might have influenced PZ Cussons PLC's decision to actually delist? Does it have to do with disagreements with minority shareholders, or maybe a desire for a greater control, or maybe something out of the box that we don't know?
Well, Lekon, sometimes it's not something out of the box. It's not disagreement with minority shareholders. I think it's the second one that you said, just desire not to be controlled. A lot of these companies have been in Nigeria for a very long time, and with the current economic challenges, they seem to want to delist, to have a little bit control breather in terms of bringing out their finances as when due, because they are struggling with a lot of things. Some of them are struggling with understaff to get audited report on time. I think that is basically what I think is happening. And again, they've not been performing very well. Some of them want to get their out to go to the tier 2 exchange site. We've seen that in 11 PLC, former Mobi. Even if they are listed in the tier 2, which does not put so much so much on them in terms of meeting up with shareholders' demand. So that I think that's what is basically happening. But some of them also, because if you look at PZ and the other ones that Diagnosis and the other ones that were delisted, they've not really excited shareholders at all in terms of dividend payout or capital appreciation. So nobody really was concerned. But when you look at a stock like Wandu, who had for a long while not excited shareholders, and all of a sudden he's acquiring some facilities, he's beginning to buy some aspect of a company like Ajib, and then that's when he's saying that I want to be delisted from the exchange. Or Unilever also, his case was even different, because they also wanted to delist at about 19 naira. The shareholders refused. They came up with 23 naira. Then came the blow to shareholders, even if shareholders did not even agree the 23 naira, that they have negative shareholding form. And so that's now become practically impossible to pay shareholders anything if they finally delist. But I'm so excited with what the Securities and Exchange Commission and Nigerian Stock Exchange have done in terms of regulatory now, telling that some of these companies cannot just delist. They have to protect their shareholders. So it depends. And then you look at another stock like MRS. After winning the contract to be the major distributor of Dangote refinery in terms of diesel and even PMS petrol, and that's when they say, look, we want to delist. So sometimes it's just like your second reason not want to be open for public scrutiny.
So even as we continue to analyze the delisting companies are listed, is there a specific industry or maybe a sector more prone to delisting, or maybe it suggests that there's an underlying trend in specific industries? Because a while ago you talked about poor performance being one of the reasons too, and what we want to think maybe it cuts across all the companies or stocks.
No, I don't think so. The major culprits sometimes are companies that have not even submitted audited report for years, and they continuously being fined by the exchange, and sometimes the exchange just feel, suspend trading on these companies and get them delisted. And maybe some of them are even more about, they don't even produce anything. But if you talk of recent, most companies that have done this actually it seems to be from the petroleum sector, especially the petroleum marketing sector of some of these companies. Those are the ones that have been a big corporate. And also the manufacturing sector. And sometimes with the manufacturing sector, you won't really blame them, because they've also gone through a lot of challenge in terms of FX challenges and that. So they are trying to take a breather and take a backspace. Then some of them also want to leave Nigeria. They are all looking for institutional investors, and some of the condition, behind the scene condition, will be that you have to be delisted before, because also they don't want to be open up for scrutiny. You saw that play out when Guinea, though the current investors are open for scrutiny, but you wouldn't say how long they will, because any moment from now they might come in and say want to buy off the other minority shareholders, because they've also bought up the majority shareholder at 81 naira, and they can give the minority shareholders the same amount, and some of them will grab it and they shut them. So it's all about strategy, what they want to do, and then there's no certain rule that stops you to say, you know what, you cannot delist or you will delist.
Okay, so let's quickly do a juxtaposition of what obtains in the Nigerian Stock Exchange with other stock exchanges in Africa, like the GSE, for example. How does the delisting trend in Nigeria or in NGX compare to other stock exchanges in Africa? Well, some people feel maybe it's unique to Nigeria, or maybe it's just part of a larger global phenomenon. Then I'd like you to tie that to the possibility of probably incentivizing these companies to stay listed. Maybe that could be a buffer.
Yes, let me start with the last question. Incentivize those companies to stay. I think that's what the exchange have been trying to do, giving them some little, giving them some little ways that, okay, you know, we like one of those ways is that instead of you submitting your audited report that as when we can give you 3 months, and then after that you can come back to us and tell us that, look, you still need time, they'll give you time, but if you don't come, then you start paying fine. And those are ways that the exchange have done also to sensitize this country to get them listed. For the government, some way that they would have done that is also to give them tax holidays. And we have seen that sometime in some of these big conglomerates. So I think the exchange have tried to do what they have to do. But corporate governance, you cannot cut corner when it comes to corporate governance. It's a global best practice. You have to do that. And secondly, when you talk about the second aspect of it, whether it's peculiar with Nigeria, I don't think it's peculiar with Nigeria. Other exchange all over the world, sometimes the way those exchanges all over the world do their own is even different from us. You just see the company just get delisted, and because of what some Nigerian companies are practically been doing these days, not submitting report for a very long time, those are conditions that you were given before you were listed. So when you don't meet this condition, automatically you are suspended, first with warning, then secondly, then you are delisted, and the investors are the one that suffered. And that's why they say investors must do due diligence before you buy into any company. So it definitely happened. But if you look at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, they are the one that I think up to this moment has made the Owando not to delist, because Owando actually wanted to delist from the exchange. They gave them some condition that they had to meet. When they couldn't meet that condition, they went back to, they said, okay, then we'll still be listed there. And so if you are listed in Joburg Stock Exchange, you cannot say you won't be listed in Nigerian Stock Exchange. So sometimes some of these stock exchange have their own corporate governance. But it's all about implementation of corporate governance to the benefit of your investors. And that is what the Stock Exchange and the Securities and Exchange Commissions are to be for investors, just like what CBN or the central bank all over the world are for customers.
Okay. Mr. Muktar Mohammed, CEO of Asheer Investment Limited, thank you so much for the education this morning. We appreciate that.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.